Leo and Nora, both 21, had been in a committed relationship for a while. They were close, sharing a bond built on trust and mutual respect. But they had made a decision together, one that neither of them would break. They would wait until marriage before engaging in anything sexual, believing they were still too young to explore that side of their relationship. Their connection was based on love, and they trusted each other completely. One day, Nora's aunt called Leo. She claimed to be in need of help with something urgent, something that couldn't wait. Without thinking much of it, Leo agreed to come over and assist her. When he arrived, Nora's aunt greeted him warmly. But then, her demeanor shifted in an unsettling way. "Come on in, Leo. It's in my room." "I need help with something in there," she said, her voice low, almost too calm. Leo followed her inside, his thoughts racing. What could she possibly need help with in her room? But when he entered, something felt wrong. The door clicked shut behind him, and Nora's aunt turned to face him, her eyes unusually intense. Without a word, she moved toward him, her hands reaching for him, touching him in ways that were provocative and uninvited. Leo froze, his body tense, the shock of the situation taking over his senses. His mind spun with confusion. What is happening? He thought. Is this a test? A trap? In the chaos of his thoughts, a single question flashed through his mind: can I do this? He looked at the woman in front of him, his heart racing, his love for Nora clouding his judgment. This is not Nora. I love her. What if she finds out? The internal struggle intensified. For a brief moment, Leo could have given in, could have chosen to disregard everything he promised Nora. But then, something shifted. He couldn't do it. He loved Nora too much, and his trust in her meant everything. Without a word, he pushed her hands away, stood up from the bed, and hurried out of the room. His heart pounded in his chest, his breath shallow as he stormed outside. He knew he needed to clear his mind. He needed to be strong. He jumped into his car, his hands shaking as he drove to a nearby store. He walked quickly down the aisles until he found what he was looking for, a single condom. He grabbed it, stuffing it into his pocket without thinking, and headed straight back to Nora's aunt's house. As Leo approached the door, the tension in his body was palpable. He was on edge, confused by the events that had unfolded, yet determined to hold on to the values that mattered most. But as his hand reached for the door, something completely unexpected happened. The door swung open, and suddenly, Nora's entire family jumped out from behind the walls, clapping and cheering. The sound of their applause hit Leo like a wave, and for a moment, he couldn't believe his eyes. "Congratulations, Leo," someone called, laughing. "Yeah. You passed the test," another family member shouted. Leo's heart stopped. His mind struggled to comprehend what was happening. He looked around, his eyes darting from one familiar face to the next. Everyone was clapping and congratulating him. Nora stepped forward, her smile wide, her eyes glowing with pride. She jumped into Leo's arms, hugging him tightly. "I'm so proud of you, honey," she said, her voice warm and loving. "I knew you would do the right thing. I love you." Leo stood there, utterly dumbfounded, the condom still tucked in his pocket as the reality of the situation settled in. It was all a prank, a test, one set up by Nora and her family to see if Leo would stay true to his promises. They had orchestrated the entire thing to check his loyalty, to test his resolve. Leo's mouth went dry. He hadn't known whether to laugh or feel embarrassed, but as he looked at Nora, his love for her never wavered. The prank had been cruel, but it had only made him more certain of his commitment to her. With a sheepish smile, Leo looked at Nora and whispered, "I'm glad I passed. but I don't think I'll ever be the same after this." Nora laughed softly and kissed him on the cheek. "I knew you would, Leo. You're the best." The tension that had clouded Leo's mind began to melt away, and the awkwardness of the moment faded as he held Nora close. The prank had been harsh, but in the end, it only proved one thing: their bond was stronger than any test.